welcome to a Little Notebook channel. Thanks for joining. Now, despite my surroundings and the intro you'll just have seen, I'm currently in the Peak District, but this video is actually all about Scotland. I've just come back from a trip to Scotland and visited a number of really beautiful places and locations, and also hopefully took one or two half-decent photos. So in this video we're going to go to the first location that I went to, and that is Loch Fyne. Oh, by the way, if in my first clip, if I'm talking quite quietly, that's because there's quite a few people mulling around. There's quite a few cows mulling around in this field as well, by the way. So my voice was a little bit quiet, so I was a bit subdued, but I do pick up. Catch it a bit. Inveraray, just on the very edge of Loch Fyne with my special hat. It's about just gone 6 o'clock in the afternoon or the evening. It's pretty quiet. Basically, just found a little not jetty where they launch the fishing boats, just over to my side there, and this is my view. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. Really blessed that right at this minute there is no rain. Basically you're having spells of dry, sun breaking through, and then look at those clouds over there, lying quite low over the peaks of those mountains. This hill you can see, a bit more than a hill, but anyway, the hill you can just see beyond the jetty there is part of the Inveraray Castle estate, and you can walk up that and have some spectacular views. So I'm just going to walk round, and you can see now Loch Fyne is a pretty large loch. It's actually seawater. It's salt water. It eventually heads out into the Irish Sea. So I'm going to be travelling south, a bit further south, and looking at some of the gorgeous Argyll coastline over the next few days. But in the meantime, this is pretty much at the north end. So, let me just walk you through what I saw, the composition, if you didn't guess it already. Not quite sure what those flowers are for. Maybe photographers who mistimed things and got trapped by the tide, because this is tidal. So you can see, got my camera, and I'm pointing in the direction of that jetty. That's your that's your subject matter. Granted, there's not a huge amount of separation between the top of the jetty and the bank on the coastline where that hill is in the distance, but unless I elevate myself from here, which is not possible, and I can't get to that jetty, I'm just going to have to make do with where I am here. Okay, forgive me for a minute, because there's a hell of a good smell of food. It is, yeah, it's like 6:30, and all the restaurants are busy cooking away, and there's a very nice fish and chip shop around the corner. So basically I wanted to do a long exposure. I wanted to try and smooth out the water a little bit and have one of those, you know, very mysterious type scenes. And in my rush, or in my stupidity, I left my filters and sunglasses for the lenses they're back at the cottage, so I'll try another day. But in the meantime, what I did is I reduced the aperture on my lens as much as I possibly could. I reduced the aperture on my lens as much as I possibly could. Therefore, and also lowered my ISO, which is the sensitivity of the sensor, down to the lowest level, which is 100 on my camera, which allowed me to slow down the shutter speed a little bit, but I think only to 25th or 50th of a second. Not very much, but just a little bit of smoothed out some of the ripples, but not a huge amount. And then took a shot of the jetty, but also wanted to capture, switch this around and I'll show you. There you go, it looks better, doesn't it, without me in it. So I wanted to capture the jetty, some foreground water, the hill, part of Inveraray Castle Estate, but of course, and also in the distance, those hills. So I actually zoomed into pretty much about 70-85 millimeters. I'm on my standard zoom here on my Canon R6. I'm not going to show you the photos of, I took 2 photos of that pier. Sorry, I took 1 photo of that pier, but I'm not going to show you, I'll show you those in a moment. What happened though is when I left the pier, started going back to the car, I noticed that directly on the other side of the pier there's a harbour wall, and I spotted this beautiful boat which was really stood out against the dark greys and blues of the loch, because it was this pretty much like crimson red. So I took a couple of wide-angled shots of that. Take a look. So I couldn't help resist but put a wide-angled lens on and see if we could catch that boat called the Vital Spark. Lovely red boat there, the hull. It looks as though it's a few years old. You can see the wooden cabin. So if I were to catch that, and then you get the hills. Now I believe that hill directly across the loch is called couldn Hill. And beyond, in the way in the distance over there, we've got Ben Lewis, something like that. Ben Lewis, not Ben Nevis, Ben Lewis, but anyway, it's about 1100 meters high. Way in the distance, where the clouds are all pretty masking it. I think I shall have another meander around. Love the way the sun is so unpredictable. Can you see it catching the hills there and the plantations over on the other side of the loch? Don't put your arm on barbed wire when you're trying to be cool. A couple of days after that shot, I'd been out and about, and I came back to Inveraray, where I was staying, and the sun was quite nice. It was about exactly the same time, around 6 o'clock in the early evening, and I decided, because I had all my camera gear, I decided to have another go at the pier, not least because this time I had my filters, so I could actually take a longer exposure. So I went back to the same location down near the pier. You can see that the tide was a little bit further out, so I was able to get a little bit closer to the pier, and I took 2 shots. One was about 13 seconds. I'll show you in a minute. Another one was much more longer. So take a look at these and see. In fact, take a look at the first one. The first one is the one where I took on the first day at a 50th of a second, and the next 2 are the ones which are more longer exposure. Right, well, I was travelling back from Inveraray Castle and I thought I'll just stop off again at the pier because I took a couple of shots of the pier, which I'm going to show you in a second. 2-3 days ago, I was just a bit further down, sort of jetty is over there, and I came along, took what I thought was quite a nice shot, slightly different angle to today, but I didn't bring any filters, so I couldn't take any long exposure. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to dash down, grab my filters and camera, and take a long exposure here. Now I've done one with a 10 stop neutral density, which meant that I could slow the shutter to 12 seconds. 11 seconds. I adjusted it 11 seconds because some of the clouds were blowing out. And you can probably see there in the distance, the surface of the water is quite ripply there. So I thought I'd try. I've got 3 neutral density filters, a 10, 8 and a 6 stop. So I added the 6 stop to make a total of 16, which caused the shutter speed to be about 18 minutes. Yeah. I'm halfway through. So whilst I'm waiting for, I don't know whether it'll come out. I'm usually pretty bad when it's really long shutter speeds. Probably end up being blown out or something. But anyway, I took the opportunity, throw in a local little family-run restaurant and book myself a table. So by the time that finishes, I should have about 50 minutes, get back to the car, chuck all the equipment and gear and bags and stuff like that, and go and get some nosh. And at the moment I'm just enjoying this nice, lovely early evening sunshine and the dogs. Look at that. Apologies again, I'm just taking this with my phone, so the audio might not be fantastic, but if the images are any good from the pier again, I'll put them up now. Catch you later. See, I told you I'm not alone. That is a field of cows. Bit of a mixture as well. Got some Jersey cows and the black and white patchy cows, and then the cows that look a little bit like sheep. Oops. Oh yeah, I suppose they are sheep. If this place looks familiar, by the way, I was here. This is where I used to come on a regular basis, starting in lockdown. It is such a peaceful place. So, just walked up the field. This location is a favourite of mine. I found great peace and solitude in this area because it is really not used very much. You don't see an awful lot of people. It's just a little bit off the beaten track. And I used to come here in the start of lockdown, really, just after lockdown, when we could get out. I used to come around here, and it was just incredible. And this is a drinking pool for the cows and sheep, which featured in one of my very first sort of videos of the Peak District. Very long rambling videos. You see those 3 cows there? They were sort of banging heads a second ago. I'm glad that they They weren't too interested in me. Okay, I've just said that it's really quiet normally, but I can hear voices. So I'm going to carry on that way.